Hi everyone, thank you for watching part 4 of my technical paper research for my Master of Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences through the University of Florida, and covering the topic of the effects of plastics on corals and other coral reef invertebrates. So you can see by the title that this is part 4, and it's going to cover kind of like a discussion, conclusion, wrap up, as well as what we can do to minimize our personal plastic waste. And yeah, the other 3 parts, if you haven't watched them, the first one covered marine plastic abundance and the importance of coral reef ecosystems. The second was the actual effects on the corals and other invertebrates in the reefs. And then the third one covered critiques I had on some of the research that I read, as well as prospects for future research. So let's get into it. All right, so plastics are just one of many stressors in the marine environment. There's also stuff like ocean acidification that they have to worry about, increasing temperatures, a whole bunch of things that are all very related to climate change and anthropogenic, so human-created pollution. And then plastics have effects on organisms in some habitats more than others. So like coastal organisms, deep sea, coral reef, and tropical. They tend to have some more issues. Like tropical, in one study, found that those areas had higher concentrations of microbes on plastics and stuff like that, so like pathogens and everything. And then different species experience different impacts from plastics. And overall, their plastics have led to amongst other things, but have led to a decline in reef health and coral cover, which has led to a decline in reef structural complexity. And I got into the importance of that in the first video. Plastics can also have adverse effects on humans. So the reduction in structural complexity leads to a reduction in biomass and biodiversity, which can ultimately lead to a loss of resilience in the community. So they lack the ability to bounce back after a disruption or disturbance, and a reduction in the quantity and quality of ecosystem services, which are also something I got into in the first video. Hundreds of billions of dollars worth of services are at risk, and this includes fisheries and tourism industries. Those are at risk, and like I mentioned in the first video, coral reef communities are the primary source of livelihood for over 275 million people around the world. And then plastics, the overall effects of plastics can lead to a reduction in food availability. And there's the potential for ingestion of bioaccumulated microplastics and their associated toxins. And this, you can see in the diagram how the microbes and other stuff and contaminants and whatnot form a biofilm on the outside of the plastic, and it goes through the food web. So you see copepods pictured there to the left of trophic transfer, and then it goes into a bivalve, which is one of the invertebrates, to fish, to humans, and it can lead to skin irritation, respiratory problems, cardiovascular disease, digestive problems, reproductive effects, and cancer. Efforts to reduce plastics in the environment need to be made. This can be done through better management. That's really the key here. And this can include managing waste, putting restrictions or even bans on single-use plastics, using polluter pays mechanisms. So for something big, like I know this isn't plastic related necessarily, but like the BP oil spill, it's basically saying if some major plastic pollution event happens, the organization that had those plastics all released into the environment would be responsible to pay for their cleanup. So like basically the BP oil spill, they would say that BP was responsible for that cleanup. And then we can also monitor and support coral reef structural complexity, and this can include doing things like coral outplanting, sometimes also called coral gardening, where you go and actually put new corals out on reefs, corals that have been grown in a coral nursery or that's in the wild or in a facility. And then stakeholders need to work together. Stakeholders include local, national governments, NGOs, and just community leaders, maybe local fishermen, stuff like that. And they can work together to identify plastic sources, use incentives, so maybe a tax break if a fishery decides to mark all their gear and will pay if they lose any gear in the ocean or if any of their gear is found in the ocean. I don't know, maybe something like that. Or to turn in plastic waste collected as they see it. Just something. And then they can also remove fishing subsidies, which will also help the overfishing problem. And they can invest in monitoring and research. And this list can go on forever for what stakeholders can do. And then aquaculture facilities, especially near shore and open system ones, can look to reduce their use of synthetic polymers. And when new facilities are being built, they can look into making them more environmentally sustainable closed systems as opposed to open systems that can interact directly with waterways, natural waterways. And now on to reducing our personal plastic waste. So we can look to use reusable products. So reusable shopping bags. I have pictured here some reusable utensils that come in a little carrier case from the brand Nork. I use those all the time, especially when I go to Disney parks. Although Disney is testing out compostable utensils right now at Restaurantosaurus in Disney's Animal Kingdom, which is really cool, and compostable plates and everything. And they have a compost bin there, so I'm really excited to see how that goes. And then here is a reusable tissue pack, basically a pack of handkerchiefs, but yeah, reusable tissues. This Q-tip from Last Object can replace up to 1,000 Q-tips, so that's really great for reusing stuff. And then I go to Disney a lot, and I like to bring Tupperware when I go, so I don't have to use to-go boxes. And I try to remember to take Tupperware to restaurants too, since I can't usually eat all that food in one sitting. Although I'll finish it like an hour or two after, but I usually have to wait for my second win to finish it. A lot of places also have bulk food bags. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, I'm not sure. But I know Sprouts Farmers Market has bulk food bags, so you can use those, buy your food in bulk. It will reduce the amount of plastic packaging you have. And yeah, even if there's no like bulk food products, if you buy a big bag of rice, it'll use a lot less plastic than buying multiple small bags of rice. Know what your recycling service accepts. If you put something into recycling that's not accepted, a lot of times they have to end up taking that stuff to the landfill instead of recycling anything in that bag. So definitely don't be afraid to call them up, look up on their website, email them. Some places send out flyers with what's recyclable. And check if they take the hefty energy bag that can recycle a lot more products. It can take plastic straws, plastic utensils, plastic bags. I eat cereal a lot, so cereal bag liners it will take. Packaging peanuts, a bunch of things that otherwise aren't usually recyclable. Be aware of what chewing gum you're buying. I am a big gum chewer, and a lot of brands actually put polyvinyl acetate, so a plastic, in their chewing gum. So be aware of that. Some brands that don't do that are like Simply, Glee Gum, Pure, like PUR, Tree Hugger, and there are a few others. But just be aware of that. And I know Tree Hugger, all their packaging is recyclable. I'm not sure about the others, but Pure does come in big packs, so you can buy your gum in bulk. When you go shopping, now that the pandemic's kind of winding down and everyone's becoming vaccinated, or not everyone, but hopefully a lot of people, you if you feel safe enough, go and do your shopping in person rather than online, because that will reduce the amount of packaging necessary, and obviously maybe keep a reusable bag in your car just for random shopping trips. And if you are buying a gift for someone or just treating yourself, look to buy more sustainable, eco-friendly brands. There are some brands that do make an effort to reduce plastic waste in the ocean, like 4Ocean, and then I have a Legend bracelet that helps reduce marine plastic pollution. And then cooking at home can reduce your personal plastic waste by a lot. So I serve and bartend at a restaurant right now while I'm working on my master's, and there is so much plastic waste at restaurants. I try to like reduce mine as much as possible when I'm working, but it's still a lot, and I'm not comfortable with it. And then also getting takeout can create a lot of plastic waste. But if you do order takeout, you can always ask them to leave out like the utensils, napkins, condiment packets, and that will reduce a lot of the plastic waste associated with takeout. And then hopefully the container you get is recyclable. But just make sure before you actually put it in the recycling, of course. And then, swapping paper towels for rags will reduce the plastic packaging for all those paper towels. Plus, if you make rags out of old clothes, then that's also more eco-friendly. If you compost, they'll cut down on your plastic trash bag use. Take political actions, so maybe write to your representative to try to make have something go on there with plastics. Get better. Yeah. You can volunteer for like park or beach cleanups to reduce the amount of plastics that has been littered, but reduce the amount that's getting into our waterways. And there's just so many more things. There are tons of blogs and books and everything out there for you guys to go look at. But what's most important is just doing your best and finding what works for you. Take it one step at a time. I'm still working on it. There's no way I do all these things yet, or many other things, but I am trying, and I am adapting my life one step at a time, because if you take it slowly and take those baby steps, then you're more likely to form habits and you'll keep these behaviors going long term. So yeah, we're all trying our best, and we can always try harder, but just take it easy, but still make an effort to keep improving yourself. So here's just a brief glimpse at my references. I think I was actually in the early 40s now, and I'll leave those down below, all the references down below. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Share this video to get this message out there. Giving it a thumbs up will do the same thing. And yeah, go check out the other videos linked down below. And yeah, thanks again for watching. It really means a lot to me.